We're working on something special for February that's very close to us personally. It's centered around care over time, the kind that's quiet, consistent, and intentional, the kind that's simply there. It comes from the products that we've created, use ourselves, and stand behind every day, and from the belief that real care is built through small, daily choices and routine. This is an inside look into our own routine, and we're very excited to share it with you in a very special way. So stay tuned. We will be launching in February. Welcome to Biohacking Beauty, your go-to anti-aging skincare podcast, where we blend the latest science with smart, targeted strategies for skin cellular longevity.
We are your hosts. I'm Anastasia Hojaeva.
And I'm Amitai Eshel. We're the founders of Young Goose Skincare, and around here, we're obsessed with optimizing how your skin ages or doesn't.
Exactly, because youthful skin isn't just about looking good, it's a reflection of how well your body is functioning on a cellular level.
And in today's episode, we're shining a light on one of the most underrated and misunderstood, and honestly, completely overlooked proteins in your skin, elastin.
And you always hear about collagen this, collagen that, but elastin is literally what makes your skin snap back after you smile, sleep, or lie your face down on your pillow.
Yeah. If collagen is the scaffolding, elastin is the bungee cord. And spoiler alert, most of us are walking around with frayed cords, whether we realize it or don't.
We're going to unpack why that happens, why rebuilding elastin is so hard, and how we can actually preserve and optimize the elastin we do have.
And if you're thinking this is just another here's a cream that fixes it all episode, it's not. This is real biohacking. We're going deep into science, physiology, and yes, the strategies that actually move the needle on elasticity.
If you've noticed your skin just doesn't bounce back the way it used to, stay with us. You're going to walk away with a new framework for how to care for your skin long term.
Before we dive into today's episode, we want to read a super cool review. As a reminder, we pick a review every week to read, and whichever review we read, we send them a free product. So if this is your review, please send us an email to service@younggoose.com or DM us on Instagram, and we will get your free product shipped to you right away. And the review that we chose,
I'm trying to...
I'll get it for you. I'm
here. I have it. Okay, it goes. So first of all, it's Fire Barbie 27.
Really cool name. Shout out to Fire Barbie.
Yes. There was one puppy kittens like a month ago, and I couldn't read that because I couldn't stop laughing. But Fire Barbie 27 says, new favorite. It's rare I take time out of my busy working mom schedule to write a review. I'm pretty sure this is only the second time I've reviewed a podcast. I believe it's warranted to give a shout out to Young Goose. I listened to the Better podcast by Dr. Stephanie Estima, and through
Shout out to Dr. Stephanie Estima.
Yes, huge shout out. Through her, I discovered the podcast by you guys and Young Goose. It's very timely for me as I'm 48 and have been deep in the optimal health world for at least the last 10 years, and my skin is definitely aging. Amita is very down to earth, yet speaks quite intelligently and is very current on the science around optimal health. I'm excited to listen, and I'm loving my new products. Normally, the price point would be out of my range to maintain. However, if you skip the expensive spa treatments, one can make room to spend more. I'm very holistic, and I only tried Botox and a filler once 10 years ago. I also invested over $3,000 in this last year on RF treatments and other lasers. The information I've learned since picking up this podcast is so paramount. Thank you. So
What
thank
about
you.
what about the shout out to Anastasia? Where's Anastasia? Anyway,
Maybe she only listened to your
Yes.
interview with Stephanie Steam and I wasn't there.
Then she's in for a treat.
But nonetheless, this is a really sweet review. And yes, Amitai is
And
very
you're
down
only-
to earth and does speak very intelligently.
And Fire
I second
Barbie,
that.
you're only getting half of a product since you didn't mention
No, you
Anastasia.
don't. No, you don't.
No. But anyway, let's thank you very much. Obviously, write to us and we will send you the product ASAP. But all right, let's talk elastin. Because honestly, this stuff is like the hidden force behind youthful skin. And almost no one is talking about it.
Right. Everyone's focused on collagen, which is important, but elastin is what actually lets your skin stretch and return to shape. It's the reason your cheeks bounce back after you smile and why you
Or when
don't...
your aunt pinches you.
Yes. And this is why you don't wake up or go all day with those sleep wrinkles. Yeah, that's all elastin's job.
Yeah. Collagen is...
Unsung hero
Yes.
of elasticity.
Collagen is the sung hero. It's the
Of
the structure, the scaffolding. Elastin, this is your skin's ability to recover shape after movement. Think of it like the elastic part of a trampoline. Collagen is think of everything as a trampoline. Collagen is your metal frame, but elastin
We're
and your
going
mental frame,
here
really.
with the trampoline.
But elastin is the spring action. No springs, you are now a YouTube blooper video, right?
You just fall flat.
You just fall flat or get through the thing. Anyway.
Exactly. And here's the crazy part, if it wasn't crazy yet. Elastin only makes up about 2 to 4% of your dermis by
dry weight.
dry weight.
Yeah.
It's a small amount, but it's biomechanically critical. It can stretch up to 8 times its original length and still recoil. That's what keeps your skin from going slack and crepey. So if your skin is slack and crepey, that's the sign that you're running low on elastin.
Yeah, that bounce, that snap back is what gives skin its vitality. And when it starts to go, people usually blame it on collagen loss or dehydration, but the truth is elastin degradation is a huge driver of that saggy, tired look.
And here's where it gets even more interesting from a longevity perspective. Elastin is one of the longest living proteins in the body. In fact, it has a half-life of about 70 years.
70
yeah.
years. Yeah, I know. So the elastin...
I thought you corrected me.
No,
the way
I'm
I pronounced
emphasizing. 70 years. So the elastin you built when you were, say, 16 is still the same elastin your skin's relying on in your 50s.
Yeah.
And
and when you're 140.
Well, yes, technically.
Half-life of 70 years.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're all going to live to 140, right, guys?
Yes. So again, what does that mean, Anastasia?
Okay. That also means once it's damaged, it doesn't regenerate easily.
Mm-hmm.
Adult skin has very limited elastin turnover. That's why UV damage, glycation, or chronic inflammation can be so permanent because the elastic fibers just don't get replaced the way collagen does. Like a lot of things in your body replace every 7 years. Like you kind of like whole new every 7 years. That's not your elastin.
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to have as a reference when we were studying for this episode, which we did. We have 30 pages of science that we went through for this podcast. I was thinking of Death Becomes Her, the movie.
Oh,
when they can live forever, but their body, whatever is getting damaged, that's it.
Actually, we got recommended this movie, at an
Yeah.
opening of the new
Shout out to
location, Vry. So, and I know ladies from Vry listen to this podcast. So if you're listening to us, shout out to you. We watched this movie. It was a fun movie night.
Yeah.
And now we're referencing it here.
Yes. So basically, once you mess up elastin, your skin pays the price for decades.
That's right. And this is also why people in their 30s and 40s start noticing those subtle but stubborn changes, like skin is not snapping back, as we mentioned a few times, or those fine accordion lines that stick around after you laugh. It's not just about volume loss, it's architectural.
And as I always say, prevention is way sexier than correction.
First time I hear you say it. Who have you been saying this
No,
to?
I've been saying it, not maybe like that. I think elastin, though, is the perfect example. If you protect it, if you protect elastin fibers now, you can preserve skin function for decades. But if you ignore it, that's way harder to reserve and reverse.
Yeah. And the good news is, while we can't fully regenerate elastin the way we can with collagen, we can protect the fibers we have, improve the matrix they live in, and even support to some degree the functional remodeling.
Yeah, in the words of Cameron Chestnut, when we talk about elastin, quantitative is very hard to affect, the quantity, but the quality is something that you can affect.
Yeah.
And what we'll do today is we will talk through exactly how to do that in this episode. But first, let's talk about the 5 main reasons elastin starts to break down in the first place. Because if you understand the why, the strategies make a lot more sense.
So here's something that most people have no clue about. Your body makes most of its elastin before you are even a teenager. After that, it pretty much stops. Elastin biosynthesis actually peaks around birth, slows down during childhood, and then almost completely halts at puberty. So by the time you're, say, 15, your body has already made the majority of elastin you have for life.
Which is pretty insane. When you're walking around, if you think about it, at 40, maybe 50 years old, relying on elastin you made in middle school.
Oh, at birth.
Or at birth. Or in your mom's belly.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And the scary part is that elastin has one of the longest half-lives, as we mentioned, up to 70 years, around 70 years. But also means it's very slow to rebuild, if at all.
Yeah. So when it is damaged, we are not replacing it very well. We're just stacking damage on top of damage, especially with things like UV, pollution, or chronic inflammation.
Yes. That's why once elastin gets fragmented or degraded, the damage tends to accumulate. You'll see it as deeper lines that stay etched after facial expressions, early crepiness in the neck, and general loss of bounce in the cheeks and jawline.
And it hits earlier than people expect. You don't need to be in your 60s. Most people start noticing it, elastin change, what they don't know it is, but that those are elastin changes in their 30s, especially if they've been exposed to a lot of UV radiation or chronic skin inflammation.
Yeah, exactly. Especially for people with inflammatory skin conditions, smokers, or those with high oxidative stress, they are going to see elastin breakdown much earlier.
Okay, so that's challenge 1. We barely produce elastin after puberty, and the little we have has to last us decades, aka death becomes her. Let's talk
Centuries.
Yes. Let's talk about challenge number 2. And that's what UV exposure, is, we're going to talk about what UV exposure does to elastin.
Chronic UV exposure actually creates a condition called solar elastosis. What happens is that the elastic fibers in the skin become thick, clumped and disorganized. Instead of a nice, smooth network that allows the skin to stretch and bounce back, it becomes chaotic and dysfunctional.
So instead of springy and smooth, you get leathery, saggy, and almost rubbery skin.
Exactly. You see it especially on areas that get long-term sun exposure, like the forehead, temples, lateral cheeks. The skin becomes yellowish, thicker, and wrinkled in a way that doesn't match someone's actual age.
And this is we're talking less even about just superficial damage, right? UV is very special because it also triggers enzymes that actually destroy elastin, actually gobble elastin up.
UV radiation upregulates matrix metalloproteinases, or MMPs, and other proteases like elastases. So proteases are the enzymes that break things up, proteins. So these enzymes literally degrade both collagen and elastin in the dermis. So we do not want to upregulate or turn on these metalloproteases.
Yeah. So even if you're doing all the fancy skincare treatments that we make, or if you're not protecting, but if you're not protecting your skin from UV, you're basically going 2 steps forward and one step back.
Absolutely. This is why consistent sun protection is one of the most high leverage things you can do to preserve your elastin.
Yeah. All right. Let's move to challenge number 3. And this one's the sneaky one, which is intrinsic aging. This is what happens even if you've been good with your sunscreen, right?
Yes. Even if you've been using sun protection, you can still experience natural loss of elastin fiber content as we age. Studies show about a 30% loss by age 50 and nearly 50% loss of elastin by age 80.
And that's not just quantity of fibers, right? It's also the structure that changes.
Correct. The fibers become thinner, fewer in number, and less connected. It's not just that there is less elastin, the network itself becomes disorganized, as I mentioned before, and loses ability to function properly.
Which, by the way, explains that subtle sagging or slippage people notice as they get older, especially in the mid-face, the jawline, or even the upper eyelids.
Yes, you also get slower recovery from pressure, like sleep lines or mask marks that stick around for hours instead of disappearing in minutes.
Yeah, that there's something else there that we're not going to go over today. The science is pretty early on that, and maybe we're going to cover it with that very in-depth esoteric type of red light therapy thing I'm planning on. But there's also the coating of elastin also changes its polarity, where elastin fibers have a hard time gliding over each other. But that's just like an honorable mention. Maybe we'll mention it later in episodes when science becomes more robust, but also when there's more, when we can, really dive deep into what's going on there. But let's talk about challenge number 4, which kind of everything leads to it. This one really hits close to for anyone who's ever lived on sugar or had blood sugar issues, which is glycation.
Yeah, glycation is a huge factor. What happens is that sugar molecules bind to proteins like elastin and form cross links. We call this advanced glycation and proteins, or AGEs.
The best synonym of all times when it comes to aging.
Yes. Once elastin is glycated, it becomes stiff and brittle and loses its ability to recoil.
Yeah. One thing to think about cross-linkage is if you guys see hyaluronic acid that we use, for example, in products, this is non-cross-linked hyaluronic acid. If you remember like old fillers, hyaluronic acid fillers that are almost solid, that's because of very pronounced or very strong cross linkage. And everything is between is the difference between that runny substance to that stiff substance is the amount of cross linkage. So think of that also within the context of elastin. So it's kind of like turning your elastin band into a dried out rubber band. It might still be there, but it snaps completely instead of stretching.
Exactly. And inflammation makes this worse by increasing the activity of enzymes that degrade elastin even further.
Yeah. So, in which we've talked about before. So, high sugar diets, blood sugar dysregulation, chronic inflammation, honorable mention or dishonorable mention here to drinking, alcohol. These are all just it's like throwing accelerants on the elastin breakdown fire.
Yeah. And what you will see in the mirror is stiff, dull-looking skin.
It stinks too.
Again, the way you can kind of like diagnose yourself with issues with elastin is that your folds will be deeper around the mouth and eyes, even when there is still enough volume in the face.
Yeah. All right. Fifth and final challenge, and this is the part where the myth busting really begins, is rebuilding elastin, or let's be honest, the illusion of rebuilding elastin.
Yeah, unfortunately, rebuilding elastin is extremely difficult because the synthesis is so limited in adulthood and the existing fibers are so long-lived. Once they've been damaged, there is no reliable way to regenerate them at scale.
So all of those elastin boosting creams that claim to rebuild the elastic network, they're just marketing, right?
Pretty much. Elastin as a topical ingredient is too large to penetrate the skin barrier. And while some peptides or antioxidants might support the environment around elastin, they don't actually replace it.
Yeah, and even vitamin C, okay, which people think of as this gold standard of anti-aging skincare, and I'm talking about ascorbic acid specifically, so simple form vitamin C, can actually suppress elastin gene expression if you go too high with the dosages of it, which, if you go over like 5 or 10%.
Yeah, and a lot of concentrations of ascorbic acid can be like 30%.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything gets all riled up and red and steamy when he talks about
and I lose elastin fibers. Because MMPs, by the way, also cortisol increases MMPs.
Okay, yes.
So you don't want to get me started on
Yeah. Okay, so when it comes to skincare, a lot of it is about concentrations, like the right concentrations and delivery systems. So yeah, in general, percentage, more is not always better.
Yes. And then there's the issue or the whole issue of aggressive energy-based devices. I mean, people are frying their faces thinking they're tightening, when in reality, they might be breaking down their matrix even more.
Exactly. So we've spoken about this before, but a lot of times we have new listeners. So just so you guys know where we stand on it, devices like radiofrequency microneedling or HIFU might produce short-term tightening, but the long-term remodeling is often fibrotic, meaning it's more scar tissue than functional elastin.
So if you've been
collagen.
Yeah. So if you're someone who's been chasing results from, lasers, topicals, procedures, and you are still wondering why your skin still feels thin, saggy, or deflated, this probably is why.
But it's not all doom and gloom. There are strategies we can use that respect the biology of elastin, that preserve it, protect it, and even enhance its function to some degree.
And that's exactly what we're getting into next. the 4 pillars that give your skin and you real leverage when it comes to elasticity.
Yeah, we will be talking about daily protocols, topical ingredients, devices that actually support skin architecture, all backed by science.
All right, so let's show people what elastin optimization really looks like.
If you take one thing from this entire episode, let it be this. Protecting your existing elastin is the single highest return move you can make for your skin's longevity.
Yeah, because let's be honest, if your elastin has a 70-year half-life and barely regenerates, then whatever you've got now, this is what your skin is depending on for the next for the rest of your life, or for the next few decades at least.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Okay, so the question becomes, how do we keep that elastin from getting damaged in the first place? And it starts with controlling the 4 biggest enemies: UV radiation, oxidative stress, glycation, and chronic inflammation.
This is what I call layered defense. And most people only address the one layer, like SPF, and think they're covered. But that's like locking the front door and leaving the windows wide open, which Anastasia doesn't allow me to do at night. And I need to
leave the
every night. You make me
open?
close. You make me lock everything in the house. So I try to make a joke around it, but apparently it didn't work again.
Yeah, got it.
No, didn't work. We're gonna move on. Edit this out. I'm only allowed to be funny on this podcast. Whatever flops does not survive.
It's December. I don't know when this podcast is gonna air, but it's December, and I'm slow, guys. So a lot of Amitai's jokes fly over my head, and he is not happy about it.
Yeah.
So let's go back to elastin.
Yeah.
And
let's break it down. No pun intended. Got it? Okay.
No breaking in. I got this one. No breaking the elastin. Let's
at least Jackson's laughing.
Jackson, thank you.
Thanks,
thank you.
You're
saving our marriage here.
Okay.
Okay. UV protection. So broad spectrum mineral sunscreen is non-negotiable every single day. Rain, clouds, indoors, doesn't matter. UVA penetrates windows and breaks down elastic fibers silently, without a burn. So you guys, UVB rays are the ones that you feel. So you're like, oh, I'm getting a sunburn. With UVA, you don't know that. You don't feel it.
It may help to understand that what comes after UVA is blue light. So it makes a lot of sense to people that they don't feel blue light. But maybe because you'll understand that this is the next door neighbor to UVA, it would make sense to you that you also don't feel.
On that note, the 2022 published study showed that blue light also breaks down collagen and elastin fibers. So actually blue light also breaks down your elastin. That's why you should wear your BioShield in the house if you are working in a computer or looking at any kind of screens.
Yes. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the relationship between oxidative stress and UV damage in a second. But it's important to understand it's not just any SPF that will do the best job here. Mineral zinc-based SPF with antioxidant support, this is the real magic formula here. For example, and again, we're not necessarily pushing our products to push our products. We're explaining the decision-making around why we create a product. And so BioShield SPF 40, for example, uses 17% zinc oxide, a special form of zinc oxide, which is smooshed zinc oxide. Yeah. Plus LPC6 and ectoin and a few other antioxidants, which help reduce oxidative stress and improve barrier resilience alongside protecting from UV damage, UVB, UVA.
Yeah. So second will be antioxidants. Free radicals upregulate the enzymes that chew through your elastin, things like elastases or MMPs. Topical antioxidants help keep that in check. And internally, your diet and lifestyle play a huge role.
Yeah. And again, mindfulness, because also
stress also
increases MMPs.
cortisol, yeah.
Yeah, which again, this is why we love stacking things like NAD boosters, polyphenols, which you could think of as antioxidants, and copper peptides in the same formula. As an example, as I said before, U3 set, for example, has NMN, resveratrol, spermidine, and GHKCU, which is an entire elastin preservation protocol in one serum. Same with basically all youth products. One of their big goals is preserving elastin.
Yeah, and copper peptides have actual evidence showing they can stimulate elastin and collagen synthesis in fibroblasts. So those are like stem cells of your skin cells. So you're not just defending, you're supporting the matrix.
Then you've got lifestyle drivers. You want to keep blood sugar stable, minimize blood sugar spikes, and avoid high glycemic foods because glycation is what stiffens elastin and makes it brittle. And you can use, if you want a real biohacky, whatever self-tailored understanding, you could use a glucose monitor, a CGM, for a while and understand what spikes your specific biology's glucose.
Love that advice. Also, don't underestimate pollution and smoking. Both increase oxidative stress and elevate elastase activity. Remember that enzyme that chews through your elastin fibers? Even secondhand smoke can damage elastin fibers.
And also, this has less robust studies behind it, but it also has some studies, but also follows the same logic, EMF, non-native EMF exposure. That's why, again, when we made the sunblock, that was one of the things we addressed. So here's the bottom line. Protecting your elastin is less about fancy treatments and more about consistency. A smart morning routine, a clean lifestyle, and a few bioactive topicals can go a long way.
And that morning routine doesn't need to be complicated. Gentle cleanse. And again, in the morning, you can actually skip like any kind of soap, any kind of facial wash, just cleanse with lukewarm water or cold water. Then you can spray antioxidant mist. Then
such as
blue peptide spray if you use Goose products. Then you can layer NAD plus precursors and copper peptides. So you have both in our U3 set serum. Then you can apply, instead of that serum, you could also use vampire exosomes. And then you will go in with your eye care for moisturizing around your eyes. Then with facial moisturizer, in our case, we recommend use daily. Then you have your neck and chest support if you want to bring it down your neck. And then don't forget to use your mineral SPF.
You're in and out in 5 minutes.
With vampire exosomes, it takes a little bit longer because
you're in and out in 7 minutes.
No, with I was gonna say it will be actually about 5 minutes if you use vampire exosomes. If you were to keep that for the evening routine and in the morning just use U3 set, you're in a minute.
Yeah.
You're out.
And you're basically shielding a 7-year structure that your future face depends on. That's some solid ROI.
Oh my God. That's true. Okay. And by protecting what you have now, you also make any future remodeling attempts like microneedling or exosomes far more effective because the baseline tissue is still functional.
And I always say, prevention is way sexier than whatever else I always say there. Anyway, so pillar 1 is about preservation. Next, we'll get into how to nudge the skin towards remodeling, doing it safely, using ingredients and protocols that actually work with your biology.
And spoiler alert, we're not talking about blasting your face with lasers or pills. This is about smart signal-based remodeling that supports elasticity without overdoing inflammation.
Yeah, so here's the thing. You can't brute force elastin back into your skin. But what you can do is stimulate your fibroblasts to behave more like the younger form of their selves, or like they did when you were younger. And that's where remodeling comes in.
I wish you used that motto to the kitchen appliances. You can't just brute force things in place in our home. Anyway.
Apparently, you can do it with pots and pans. You cannot do it. Yeah, go ahead.
And with my matcha machine.
Yes, it's true. I did give it a little
brute force this
how
morning.
How did the guy that played 007 say? I'd give it a little slap this morning.
Okay, back to elastin. So no brute force. The goal here isn't to force elastin production because that doesn't work. What we want to do is create the right signals and environment so your skin naturally recognizes the matrix. That means supporting fibroblast function, ECM structure, and balanced turnover.
ECM, aka extracellular matrix. And when we say stimulate, we don't mean going full blast with laser or high concentration acids. We're talking about topicals that nudge the biology forward without triggering chronic inflammation or barrier breakdown.
Exactly. So let's start with retinoids. These are probably the most well-researched compounds for extracellular matrix remodeling. They increase collagen, and in some studies, they've also been shown to upregulate elastin gene expression in fibroblasts. Again, remember we talked about the fact that naturally, this natural upregulation of fibroblasts happens, up until your early adulthood, but with some modalities like retinoids and other things we'll be talking about, like GHKCU that we mentioned, we can actually affect our biology and physiology, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, and the key is using them at physiological strength. That's something that is not talked a lot about. But for example, 0.5% retinol. That's really the sweet spot where you get results without irritation or extra inflammation, which is exactly what we chose to use when we designed bioretinol, which is a buffered biomimetic lipid structure that supports barrier integrity with introducing the retinol into the skin.
Then we have copper peptides, particularly GHKCU. These are fascinating because they don't just stimulate collagen. They've been shown to increase elastin, glucosaminoglycans, sorry guys, and overall, fibroblast repair activity.
And they're in a lot of our formulas.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. For exactly the reason of that kind of all-encompassing function. So blue peptide spray, youth reset, youth daily, eye care, youth firming neck and chest. A lot. I'm probably forgetting some. Ladder, light activated DNA repair serum. It's really one of the most versatile elastin-friendly actives you can work with.
Another category worth highlighting is vitamin C derivatives. The trick is using stabilized, lower dose forms like THD ascorbate or magnesium ascorbate phosphate. These support collagen, normalize the matrix, and help with pigmentation without pushing fibroblasts too hard.
Because remember, higher dosages, especially of ascorbic acid or L-ascorbic acid, actually turn off and damage elastin. And again, all of these, or all of that's built into, for example, Youth Daily or Youth Reset or any youth product. So you're getting NAD support, copper peptides, and balanced vitamin C and ergothioneine, which kind of goes hand in hand there, all in one step, or 2 steps for that matter. And that's what we mean when we say smart formulation.
One more advanced layer here is senolytics. Senescent fibroblasts secrete inflammatory cytokines and matrix degrading enzymes. So clearing or calming those cells is key for healthy remodeling. And I think in today's day, everybody heard about senescence.
Yeah, and that's what we love using platelet-derived or PRP-derived exosomes like the vampire exosomes formula. The reason is that specifically platelet-derived exosomes have been shown in Mayo Clinic studies to reduce senescence by up to 40% in skin tissue.
So think of it this way. You're not trying to bulldoze the skin into changing. You're creating the conditions for younger behavior. That means cleaner cell populations, smarter signals, and gentle, consistent nudging. So remember, we don't want to create any inflammation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And timing matters.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we often recommend using these actives at night. That's because that's when the skin is already in kind of repair mode. You could definitely use them during the day, but if you had to choose, night is the best, because what you're doing is you're syncing with biology instead of trying to conform biology to what you're trying to do.
Exactly. So the ideal evening routine might look like this. Cleanse, apply vampire exosomes, layer on top of vampire exosomes when it's fully absorbed. You could layer bioretinol later. I personally would space it by like 15 to 20 minutes. I'm just on the cautious side. And then seal with, you could use Youth Daily. If you're extremely dry, you could consider another serum like Bio Barrier. But honestly, Youth Daily should be great. And then last but not least, you could consider also occlusive, something like hyperbaric mask. And this is a really good stock.
Yeah, and for people with sensitive skin, you can alternate nights or use, barrier primers like BioBarrier to buffer irritation before using bioretinol.
Yeah.
So it's called the sandwich method.
Yes, and then with the hyperbaric mask, some people use it nightly. Some people like to cycle it in like once or twice a week. It's really great for any areas that show crepiness or early laxity. The hyperbaric mask has pro-collagen peptides. It has marine algae. It has the yeast extract that really helps support firmness and matrix reorganization. Speaking of elastin.
So this is pillar number 2. And by the way, we are actually going to have you can download the protocols for elastin support specifically. It's going to be in the show notes. So if you're driving, look at your phone while driving. I am kidding. Don't do that.
Yes.
Okay? You can always go back to the show notes.
Also, just a small note for you. We have a hard stop in 12 minutes.
Okay, let's go.
So
this was pillar number 2. Again, remodeling the skin from the inside out, slowly, smartly, and in a way that actually respects the biology of aging, right? Rather than trying to force something, brute force, if you would.
Yes. And when you do that consistently over 3, 6, 12 months, you start to see those subtle but powerful changes in the skin texture, elasticity, and bounce.
Okay, coming up next, let's talk about how to use light and exosomes together to regenerate skin in a way that feels almost, I would say, like we're paving the way for future concepts of regeneration here.
Okay. All right. And what I love is that it's totally doable at home.
Yeah.
You just need the right strategy and the right products. Okay. Yeah. So you want to talk about
Yes, and again, I've been teasing a lot, spoiler alert, that we're going to do a bigger dive into this, but the one of my favorite combinations for skin regeneration, which is light and exosomes. This is where we really start layering in some of the most exciting, more advanced novel tools in the biohacking world.
Yes. And what I like also about it, that we're not doing it in a way that involves trauma or inflammation. So when you think about red and near-infrared light, what you're really doing is charging up your mitochondria, and over time you're changing you can have more mitochondrial genesis, you can have better function in mitochondria. So yes, and that happens specifically by stimulating cytochrome C oxidase, which then increases ATP production.
Yeah. And then when fibroblasts have more energy, they can do more. More what?
More elastin production, more efficient repair. What's interesting is that even though we don't have tons of human data on elastin-specific light effects, we do have evidence of increased ECM, so extracellular matrix production and skin thickness. But this is a good skin thickness. That's not a scar tissue one. It's actually like, yeah.
And that's where I love stacking modalities in that kind of area. Red light therapy plus exosomes. You're giving your skin both the fuel and the blueprint for repair.
And exosomes are fascinating. They're like tiny biological messengers carrying proteins, RNA, but micro RNA, not mRNA. If anyone is worried, don't worry. There's absolutely no mRNA ever in any exosomes. And growth signals from one cell to another. In the context of skin, they can nudge fibroblasts into a more youthful state and even reduce cellular senescence.
Right. That's what we really designed or built into vampire exosomes, which is platelet-derived exosomes, Rejuvenate or Rejuvenate-D, beta-glucan, bifida ferment, hyaluronic acid. It's a full post-light regenerative treatment or just like a full stack regenerative treatment.
Yeah, and timing is everything. You want to apply your light-activated topicals before red light therapy.
Like ladder?
Yes, such as ladder. Also really good to stack it with the spray, the blue peptide spray. And your exosomes after. That way, the skin is primed to respond and the recovery signals go deep.
So here's how it might look like in practice. You do a red light or near infrared light session, maybe 3 to 5 times per week. Before the session, you apply something like, again, blue peptide spray that has methylene blue, some really cool NAD precursors and copper peptides. Like ladder serum that is designed to sync with red light therapy because it has the most advanced form of NAD apex that we make, photolays, which are DNA repair enzymes, and pro-collagen peptides.
Yes, so that's before. And then after the red light therapy sessions, once the skin has absorbed the light energy, you apply the vampire exosomes. That's when the skin is most receptive to extracellular messaging, and you get synergistic effect between the mitochondria and the matrix signals.
And if you want to dial it up even more, you can use, again, I did mention blue peptide spray, but the combination is really good. So you use both blue peptide spray and ladder, because the methylene blue plus copper peptides, it creates a mitochondrial cofactor environment that makes the entire light process even more effective.
Yep. Okay. So just because we're running short on time, I want to emphasize, then again, I love this modality and this regenerative medicine, basically treatment translated to aesthetics, such as exosomes. Also because, again, there is no trauma. There's a lot of results, long-term and short-term, and zero trauma.
All right. And shout out again to Nick Enger, the micro trial that we've done.
Actually, I think we shouted out him in a different episode.
Yes, exactly. So micro trial that we done with ladder and red light therapy. And in 8 weeks, he reduced 20% of his UV induced photo damage.
Yeah.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
All right. We've powered up the mitochondria, layered in the cellular messengers. And next, we're getting mechanical microneedling, but done in a way that actually respects elastin.
Okay, so the skin you see in the mirror right now is only part of the picture. What you're doing here is programming how your skin will behave 6 months, 12 months from now.
Yes. So basically, part of the issue that we see with kind of treatments that people are doing to try to avoid plastic surgery, they're using a lot of heat, they're using a lot of ablation, they're using a lot of stress that actually damages elastin fibers. So in the long run, it damages both elastin fiber density and function. Okay. What I love is that the remodeling in microneedling happens without damaging the epidermis. That means your barrier stays intact, pigmentation risk is low, and you're not triggering that kind of inflammatory cascade that actually ages your skin and your elastin fibers over time. When done right, microneedling supports regeneration while minimizing collateral damage. The key is precision, using the right depth, the right frequency, and pairing it with topicals that support repair. And I wish we had more time. We were go to the episode that we recorded with Joel. I forget his last name now, but
Marshall.
he's Joel Marshall. Great episode about microneedling, and we're really talking about all of those things there and kind of how to stack them together with different protocols. And what I would like to say is that these are the protocols that we have, including for microneedling, is actually going to be in our show notes.
Yes, and just small note, you said the right depth of microneedling and the right frequency. Just for anyone that maybe thought Amitai is talking about radio frequency.
God forbid.
No. Yeah, and I will just say that the
frequency of times that you do it, not frequency. Yeah.
No, that's why I wanted to clarify it for people. And the science backs that up. Studies show that microneedling increases both collagen and elastin fiber density, especially in the papillary dermis. That's the zone responsible for skin bounce and tightness. And you guys check the show notes for the protocols for elastin remodeling and protection, ECM remodeling that we put for you together.
We'll catch you next time. Until then, stay optimized and stay radiant. I'm trying to find a catchphrase. Thank you for biohacking your beauty with us.
Thank you for listening to this episode and for going back and watching our older episodes. Actually, fun fact, we just looked at the past 90 days analysis, and the top performing episodes are some of the older ones, which actually shows us that a lot of people go back and discover some of the older episodes and they love in those. So it's fun.
Thank you for recommending us to all of your friends and even random people on the street. We really appreciate that each and every one of you, hint, is doing that.
And we've also been getting a lot of really sweet mentions on stories. Like when you put our podcast episode on a story and you say, oh, I really love this one, I really love that one. That really helps us to also know what you guys respond to. And this past year, 2025, I don't know when this podcast will be aired, I think in 2026 already. We've had tremendous growth of our podcast. You guys see we put out a lot of episodes. I hope you enjoy them. I hope they are helpful to you guys. We're putting together lots of topics, lots of deep dives that Amita already alluded to. But we're also really very eager to hear any of your suggestions. So feel free to DM those, share on stories, and suggest other topics. Really, guys, you are at the heart of this podcast. It's all for you. We do it with all of our hearts.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.